Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and let us discuss the fourth video of this series where I am discussing all the very short answers questions given in the board exams both from Andhra Pradesh and Telangana papers. In the previous three videos, I explained 30 very short answers which are given in the previous exam papers. In this video, I am going to explain another 10 very short answers questions which are frequently asked in the exam. Before I start my video, the explanation, please subscribe my channel if you have not done and do not forget to click the bell icon for more updates. Let us see what are the questions that are there in this video. The first question is this: define viscosity and what are the units and dimensions. So liquid flow in the form of layers. So remember, whenever you take a liquid, liquids will generally flow like this, the layer wise. And remember, the uppermost layer has more velocity when compared to the next layer. So that means as you move from top to bottom, velocity will decrease. The reason is as the upper layer move over the lower layer, it will oppose the upper layer. So that means there is a retarding force. This force which opposes the relative motion with the layers, we call it as viscous force. That's what I'm saying. The force that opposes the relative motion between the layers of the fluid is called viscous force, or simply we say viscosity. And remember, because of this, see, just like friction also we discuss the same way. Friction opposes the relative motion between the two bodies. That's why this viscous force or viscous force is also known as, we can write this word, fluid friction. So what is the other name for viscous force? Fluid friction. Just like how friction opposes relative motion, the same way viscous force also opposes the relative motion. Here, for this viscous force, Newton gave one formula. F is equal to eta A into dV by dx. Here F is nothing but the viscous force, eta means coefficient of viscosity, A is nothing but area of each layer, dV velocity, dx is distance. So dimension formula for viscous force are the units we calculate now. So from this, eta is equal to F by A into dV by dx. So we are calculating the units of this coefficient of viscosity. So which is nothing but force is Newton, area meter square, velocity meter second inverse by again distance meter. So from this we understand this meter cancel. I can write Newton meter per minus to second. This Newton per meter square is nothing but Pascal. So simply I can take Pascal second. This Pascal second, otherwise we call it as Poiseuille. The SI unit of viscosity, that quotient of viscosity is Poiseuille. So for Poiseuille, the symbol is capital T small l. So or you can, otherwise you can write Newton as kg meter per second. So second square, sorry. If you substitute, you get this one. So this is how you need to remember. You need to understand how the units is derived. So for quotient of viscosity, the unit is Newton meter per minus 2 second or Pascal second. Now similarly asking a dimension formula also. Let us write the dimension formula. So dimension formula force is ml t power minus 2 by area L square, velocity LT power minus 1 again L. So simply cancel this LL, again one LL cancel, T power minus 1 also cancel. So you left with ml power minus 1 t power minus 1. This is what is given. So it is always better to remember how to calculate the unit and how to calculate the damage formula. In that way, it is easy to remember. So this question, very simple. So what is quotient of viscosity? That nothing but viscous force. Then we can discuss about, let's go to the next question. What are or what is the principle behind the carburetor of an automobile? So this also was asked in the exam repeatedly. First thing we should understand that the carburetor of an automobile depends on or it works on Bernoulli's principle. Before I explain what is this function of a carburetor, we should understand one important point. What Bernoulli exactly understood, or from the theorem what we understood. According to Bernoulli, the pressure exerted by a fluid inversely proportional to its velocity. That means higher the velocity of the fluid, less is the pressure exerted by it. Or otherwise, we can say that a fast moving fluid exerts less pressure and vice versa. That's what we need to understand. So the principle behind the carburetor of an automobile is Bernoulli's. You need to underline this point in the exam. The carburetor of an automobile has a Venturi channel, that is nozzle, through which air flows with large speed. The pressure is lowered at the narrow neck and the petrol is sucked up the chamber to provide the correct mixture of air to fuel necessary for combustion. Let me explain with the help of a diagram, you understand far better. See here, an important thing is, here the air is coming from the outside. And remember, as this pipe is narrowed, this is called nozzle, Venturi channel. This is how venturimeter looks. So all of a sudden, when area decreases, the velocity, we know that velocity again inversely proportional to area. So as area is less, velocity is more. So what happens here? The air starts moving very fast. When the air starts moving very fast, it creates a low pressure. In this area, a low pressure will be created. Now see, this is the fuel pump. This is all petrol. So what happened? From this pump, since a low pressure is created here, the petrol just comes out of this pipe. It will be sucked up, and this air and petrol mixture will be given to the combustion chamber. This is what a carburetor will do. So here what is happening? When the air moves very fast, it creates a low pressure. Because of that, the petrol will be sucked up. This petrol and air will be given to the ignition chamber and thereby the combustion chamber. Thereby the right amount of fuel can be burned. So this is the working of a carburetor. So one important word you need to understand is it works on Bernoulli's principle. That is more important point you need to mention there. Now let's go to the next question. So question number 33. What is Magnus effect? Again, this works on Bernoulli's theorem. So first let me tell you what is Magnus effect. For a ball moving to the right, if a spin is given at the top of the ball, then the velocity of air at the top is higher than the velocity of air below the ball. So according to Bernoulli's theorem, the pressure above the ball is less than the pressure below the ball. So there is a net upward force. This is actually called dynamic lift. And a spinning ball, and it follows a curved path. This effect is nothing but dynamic lift. Magnus effect. So simply we can say that the dynamic lift experienced by a ball, a spinning ball, moving in air is nothing but Magnus effect. Let me explain it with a picture. See what happens? A ball is given a spin, and this ball is moving to the right side. So what happens here is when the ball is moving and spinning, here all the streamlines we said are compressed. So when compared to below, it is only given for spinning ball. It's actually for spinning ball. Suppose if the ball is also moving with some velocity. And what happens is because of the motion of the ball, more and more streamlines will what called as created here, and they come very close. But whereas here, because the velocity of the ball plus this is velocity of streamline. But in this case, the velocity of ball will be like this. Velocity of streamline will be like this. They'll be away from each other. So more is the velocity, so less is the pressure. Less is the velocity, more is the pressure. So clearly P2 will be greater than P1. So there is a difference of pressure created. So the ball experiences net upward force. Because of that, the ball moves in a curved path. Instead of moving in a straight line, it may move in curved path and land somewhere else. This is the principle behind a spinning ball. So again, I'm telling this Magnus effect is also a consequence of Bernoulli's principle that you should keep in mind. So that's it. Now let's move on to the next question, a most repeated question in the exam. So see, it was given in May 13, 14 and 16, 17, 18, every year almost is coming. So why are drops and bubbles spherical? One important word you need to understand is surface tension. That is the first important point. So drops and bubbles are spherical in shape due to the property of surface tension. So because of surface tension, these acquire spherical shape in order to have minimum surface area. So before that, you can add one sentence here. Among all regular figures, sphere has minimum surface area. You add this sentence, then you write they acquire the spherical shape. These acquire spherical shape in order, because why only sphere? That's a question. Because sphere has minimum surface area. So remember here what is happening. For example, you take this liquid drop. So why this liquid drop want to take a spherical shape only? Because everywhere, if you look at, because of surface tension, all the molecules will be attracted. And in order to have minimum surface area, it will assume spherical shape, right? So why sphere only? Because this is the reason. Sphere has minimum surface area. The same logic goes for even bubbles also. So bubbles and drops are always spherical just because of one important concept called surface tension. This is very, very important. Next one. Give expression for the excess pressure inside a soap bubble. First of all, what is excess pressure? You should understand that. So excess pressure is nothing but the difference between inside pressure and outside pressure. If you look at a bubble, there is a pressure from inside, and there is, because there is air inside, and there is a pressure from outside. So here P naught is nothing but the atmospheric pressure. PA is the pressure inside because of this air. The difference between that inside pressure and outside pressure, we call it as excess pressure. So let us consider a soap bubble of radius r, and T is the surface tension of the soap. Then the excess pressure for soap bubble is given by 4T by R. It is better if you mention here, yes, it is given. T is the surface tension of soap solution, and R is the radius of the bubble. So if we can write like that, that's important. So excess pressure is nothing but the difference between inside and outside. So what is outside pressure here? What is P naught? Atmospheric pressure. So better if you mention all that, it is very simple. Right, let's go to the next 36 question. Give the expression for the excess pressure in a liquid drop. The same logic goes. So for a liquid drop also, there will be some pressure, one because of outside, another one is inside. That is surface. Because of surface, the two pressures will be created. So here for this one, remember it is 2T by R. Again, T is the surface tension of liquid, and again, right, T is the surface tension of liquid here. R is the radius of the liquid drop. So it is better if you mention in that way. Now move on to the next question. These are all three similar questions. Give the expression for the excess pressure inside air bubble. So generally we find air bubbles inside a liquid. Let us consider one bubble that is formed inside water. So remember, an important point you should understand, since the air will be there only in one way, there is air inside the bubble only. So for this one, the excess pressure is same as the liquid drop. For air bubble, the excess pressure is same as the liquid drop 2T by R. So again, we know that excess pressure is nothing but inside minus outside, nothing but 2T by R. So for soap bubble, it is 4T by R, and for liquid drop, it is 2T by R. For air bubble, it is 2T by R. Air bubbles are formed inside the liquid. That's an important part you should understand. Now let us move on important question again. What are waterproofing agents and water wetting agents, and what do they do? So very important. So let us better if we keep the heading. So water proofing agents. So in the exam, this is always an advisable thing. Keep the heading. So what is that? These are waterproofing. The substances which are used to this are important underline you find. Angle of contact. The increase the angle of contact between water and fiber. There is one question I'll explain very soon now. So remember, these waterproofing agents, they what called as increase the angle of contact. See, when the angle of contact increases, water cannot enter into the fiber. That's what between the water and the fiber are called waterproofing. Example, wax and resin. For example, you look at the raincoat. On this raincoat, the drops are just formed there. They are just sticking there, but not entering into the fiber. So why? Because such raincoats are best example for waterproofing. They are increasing the angle of contact. That's why liquid cannot enter into it. Next one, water wetting agents. The substances that are used to decrease the angle of contact are called water wetting agents, soaps, detergents, and dyeing. See, for example, in order to take a bath, we always use soap. So soaps will decrease the angle of contact. And see, to wash clothes we're using detergents. And detergents also decrease the angle of contact. So here this is detergent, this is soap, this is a resin. So resin will increase the angle of contact, detergents and soaps will decrease the angle of contact. That's why these two are called water. This is called waterproofing, and these two are called wetting agents. Now let us see what is this angle of contact. The angle between the tangent to the liquid surface at the point of contact and solid surface inside the liquid is termed as angle of contact. So it's very simple definition. See, if you look at water, and whenever you keep one glass tube inside water, in water adhesive forces are more. So this is called concave meniscus. So water rises. Okay, it rises. So at this point, let us draw one tangent at this curve. Let us draw a tangent. And this theta is nothing but angle of contact. So definition, other definition we can write very simple. The angle made by the tangent drawn at the point of contact of solid and liquid with the solid. This angle is measured with the solid and measured inside the liquid. I'll repeat, angle made by the tangent drawn at the point of contact of solid and liquid with the solid measured inside the liquid is called angle of contact. So see, this is a solid, this is the liquid, this is the tangent. Angle between the tangent and the solid is called angle of contact. For water, if you look at, this is for water, theta will be less than 90. On other hand, if you take mercury, in mercury, adhesive, when compared to adhesive, cohesive forces are more. So what happens is mercury depress. That means it won't raise. It won't raise. So here what I have to do, you need to draw the tangent like this. because angle of contact is always measured inside the liquid. So this is the tangent here, this is the angle. So for mercury, if you consider, theta will be more than 90. So it is the theta. So the value of theta determines whether the liquid will spread on the surface of a solid or it will form droplet. So since theta is more than 90, it has a less spreading capacity. So that's why mercury will not spread on the clothes. But water easily it can enter into fiber because the angle of contact is less. So detergents and soaps will decrease the angle of contact. So that's why water can easily enter into the fiber. So the definition is very simple. If you can draw these diagrams, that will help you a lot. Let us see the last question. Mention any two examples that obey Bernoulli's theorem and justify them. So in the previous case, when I explained that carburetor, all that I said, according to Bernoulli, pressure exerted by a fluid inversely proportional to the velocity of the fluid. That means a fluid moving with high velocity exert less pressure. So what are the applications? First one is dynamic lift on the wings of an aeroplane. So if you look at this aeroplane wing, it is not completely flat, it is curved. Why it is curved? So that the streamlines on the upper surface will be very nearer to each other, and thereby, since the streamlines are very close to each other, they are moving with high velocity. When compared to this streamline, the velocity of V1 greater than V2. So if you look at the pressure downward, the pressure upward, obviously P1 will be less than P2. So there is a pressure is different phase created. That's why aeroplane experiences a dynamic lift. So this is an example of Bernoulli theorem. Just now we discussed about the Magnus effect. That is also because of Bernoulli's effect. So swinging of a spinning cricket ball is a consequence of Bernoulli's theorem. So, or you can simply write the Magnus effect. Another important we find during the cyclones, the roof of a hut detaches will fly away. See the same logic. When the wind blows very fast, here a low pressure is created, and inside the pressure is more than the outside pressure. So it experiences net force, and because of that, the roofs will detach. So all these are the consequences of Bernoulli's theorem. So these are some of the short answers questions. Very short answers questions, which are mainly based on the mechanical properties of fluids. So I hope you all understood what I explained, and just focus on these very short answer questions, and that will help you a lot in the exams. Thanks for watching, and do not forget to share my content uh, and leave your comments. Happy physics learning. Thanks once again.